Welcome to my top 3 personal bests. Cheap and inexpensive, last-minute creative Halloween costumes of all time.
Konnichiwa, what's up, my homies and homettes? Halloween is right around the corner, and I'm stoked. Every year I try to do something real creative, and I try to be on top of it. For some odd reason, I always do everything last minute. So these are my top 3 best personal costumes that I've done, super last minute and super cheap. Number 3, 2015 was a great year for Marvel and the Avengers. And in 2015, Avengers 2 came out, Age of Ultron. Since Marvel movies were on a rise, you actually had people with great costumes like Iron Man, Captain America, or Hulk, or even Spider-Man, whatever. These costumes were amazing. So I had to get really creative since it was last minute, and here's what I made. I'd like to introduce you to Iron Man, aka Tony Stark. This costume, I actually went out to the Walmart to pick up a really cheap iron because I didn't want to mess it up, right? So this, you can literally get an iron from Walmart for like a couple of bucks. Got a black Sharpie and drew on the little mustache because I'm Asian and I can't grow a beard. And I used my sister's sunglasses. And I got socks, I believe was it, as gloves. And that was it. That was my Iron Man costume and people loved it. Number 2, in 2013, EDM was blowing up at this time, where you had Zed with Clarity, Avicii, Wake Me Up, da 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 da. I can't sing. Corella, Live for the Night. All these great EDM DJs were out. And here's number 2. I was a DJ. And when I came up with this idea just a couple of days before, luckily when I Googled a fish, a super cheap bass, that they had one in a local store nearby. I got those iron-on letters, I ironed on, dropped the bass on the shirt, and then I got a cereal box, a couple of CDs, I was a DJ. But the great thing about this costume though, was when I went to the club with it, I would go out to the girls and I'd be like, yo girl, you wanna drop my bass? And when the bass dropped at the club, they grab my bass and they drop it and they boom! They loved it. Before I go to the year that I felt like my costume was the best, let's mention the honorable mentions, right? Or the runner-ups, or whatever you want to call those guys that really didn't make it to first, second, and third. So the first one is from that great movie, Zoolander, with Ben Stiller and the Wilson brother. And the reason why I'm mentioning this as an honorable mention is, man, look at that ass. Second honorable mention is the AMC's thriller, The Walking Dead. Spoiler alert, if you're watching Walking Dead and you don't know what's gonna happen, look away. In this particular series, there's an Asian guy named Glenn. He's in the entire series from season 1 all up to season 7. Well, Glenn dies. And the reason why this is a great honorable mention is because Glenn dies at the season premiere, like on October 23rd or something like that. And I came up with this costume a week later. I literally put this costume together the day before. I went to Party City, looked for a foam bat, sawed it off, put it on a cheap cap, found some blood paint, and some fake eyeballs. That costume was like 10 bucks, 15 bucks. The reason why this is an honorable mention is because people in general have been watching the show for 7 seasons and they have an attachment to them. And especially Glenn. Glenn was a very favorited character. So when I came with this costume and I posted up online, I went to parties with it, people were emotionally affected. And because it was so soon. The next honorable mention is Dora the Explorer. And the reason why this is in there as an honorary mention is because I wore this costume while I was still teaching at the Art Institute of Dallas. So I wore this teaching my class. So now let's get to my number 1 costume of all time through personal experience. And it's kind of a 2 costume combo. So 1 year in 2011 and 1 year in 2012. First costume was a costume judge. And the second one was Girls Gone Wild. And the reason why I'm kind of putting them together was it's kind of the same feel. So in 2011, I was a costume judge. And me and a couple of friends, we got these shirts that said costume judge, and with lanyards that said costume judge. So what we would do is that we found actual clubs or bars that had costume contests. So we would go to these costume contests and we would pretend to be the costume judge. We had girls all over us. Man, they were getting their numbers, we were taking photos with them. And it's funny because you would think bars or clubs would be more organized. They had no idea who the judges really were. So they actually thought we were judges. In 2012, we took this a next step further and we became Girls Gone Wild workers. And at this time, I was still working at the university, so I had access to video cameras, professional digital photography cameras, and microphones. We drove up even bigger this time with all my boys. So we had these guys pretending to be bouncers. We had a guy that said he was a high-end executive of Girls Gone Wild, and this thing was intense. We got onto all these fraternity parties, and we got onto all these clubs for free. And it got so crazy when the cops were pushing people away from the club because it was too packed. We were on the other side of the security guards. So it was our crew, the security guards, the cops, and the rest of the people. It was wild. Those are all the pictures that I could probably show you on YouTube. But man, these girls were crazy. It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of creativity and the right group of guys. So there you have it. Those are my top costumes that I personally done. I want you to share, comment below what your best costumes were, or what you thought about mine, and I want you to like it. Share, subscribe if you haven't, and happy Halloween. Take care.